Okay, today we're going to talk about 3 different things. They have a drop of a connection, aside from having to be from next to each other. There's a drop of a connection. Let's do them. Okay, halacha chafei. We're going to do halacha separate, just because how it'll fit. You could buy from a guy, Kulaindri Kunpiti, which I'll tell you in a minute what I think that might be. Even though the kulaindri is put into vinegar, which of course vinegar would be an issue of stam yain. Of course, vinegar means here wine vinegar. The concern that it might be made from stam yain. Even so, it's okay. And in parentheses, it says, the havi nisin is tamil gam, and will come on soifsim kufam da. Okay, so it's going to be mutter because something to do with nes tamil gam. Okay, so the machaber doesn't say anything. He doesn't tell you why it's mutter. He just says you're allowed to do it. He says you're allowed to buy this thing. Okay, so this din about this Kulaindri Kunpiti comes from a sefer Ogur. And there's a odd. I thought it was odd. I'm trying to figure out what the reason why it's being mutter. So it comes from Sefer Ogur, and in the old Beis Yosef it says the reason why it's mutter is according to Ogur is b'nei shahachaymet nisraf maher. It burns out quickly. Okay, to me those words sounded like it evaporates. So there is vinegar in there, but it quickly gets out. So don't worry about the fact that the vinegar was put into there, because the way you make this food, maybe we'll think what it is in a minute. However you make this food, the vinegar doesn't really stay there. It goes in and it pops right out, and therefore it doesn't make a difference. So it's just temporary, and therefore we don't care about the fact that it's part of the process of making it. Okay, there's a deed to that. The way the documentary brings this, the documentary is at the end of Kuflam Dalet, not over here. The way he brings it, the way he connects it to other cases, which we haven't seen yet, has a little much more that also. Okay, it's maher, it disappears, so it's not again, it disappears. Okay, but in the newer Beis Yosef it says mehem, or in the documentary how he brings it, and also that in the Sefer Ogur, in our printing it says mehen, which is the same thing. Okay, mehem, same idea, and that says is. That implies that the reason is because the chaymet is destroyed by the other things in there. The other ingredients somehow destroy it, and somehow they get rid of that, or something, have something negative to do with them.
You know, it's other ingredients destroyed.
Oh, it's mutter because the chaymet is nisraf mehem. What's the from them? What's them? Them is the other things that are in there.
I said it's...
Okay, what do you think it means?
From the thing. It gets nisraf from the thing.
What's the thing? The thing is everything else.
Not the thing causes it to be nisraf. It gets nisraf out of it, from it.
Nisraf mehem, it also boils out of them.
There's no point in the maher. I don't care if it's maher. Maher doesn't what it matters.
No, because when you say it's nisraf maher, means we're talking about the chaymet. I thought the mehem means the other things are. They burn them. They burn it.
There's no real difference in nisraf mehem.
You could read that.
Okay. From out of the thing.
Okay.
Maybe they're saying the maher doesn't mean anything. What do you want maher? Who cares about maher? That's all they're saying.
So I think the matter, the point is that it's not even like it's there and giving time and this and that. It pops right through. It just zips out. It doesn't stay there. It goes right through, and it's not again. It's not doesn't have any effect on it. That's how I thought it was. Okay. It could be like that. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, I'm not really. It wasn't clear. All this stuff was not clear. But the Ramah tells us a reason. Okay, the Ramah, it's over here in parentheses, and it says, look in Kuflam Dal where it says it more clearly. Kuflam Dal, it says so to speak, a completely different reason. Okay? Not because of whatever this means, nisraf mehem or mehen or maher or whatever it means. No, none of this is a reason. He says the reason is because it's Neisam of Gam. Okay, and that's a regular rule that we know, that Neisam of Gam is mutter, as long as I think it's batal b'roiv, it's mutter. So since the vinegar is Neisam of Gam, so therefore it's mutter. We don't care about that it has this trait vinegar.
You say that mayhem is like your like other ingredients affected, so that would be most common.
No, that's the opposite of Nestam of Gam. Nestam of Gam means is that the trace ingredient has a negative effect on these foods, so therefore it's not tam kicker. But the nisach mehem if they're affecting it, that's not tam. Not
Nestam. It is not Nestam of Gam.
Why is it Nestam of Gam?
Because it's not good.
Because they ruined its taste, so now when it goes back into them, right. It's having a negative effect. That's like a roundabout way to say that. But okay, maybe that's what it means. I don't know what to tell you. The Ramah says that the reason is because of Nestam of Gam.
Usually the Ramah is actually kind of says.
You would think, right? You would think, but I don't know how to put it together this is what Sefer Ogur says it also. This is all coming from the Ogur. Okay, so what exactly means? So we'll just buy what the Ramah says. The Ramah at least says something that we understand. Well, these are rules that we understand. The next time of Gam is mutter, and therefore it's okay. Okay, so okay, so that's fine. Now we know why it's mutter because it's no time of Gam.
Do you understand this reason?
Well, the first one, which I thought was that it evaporates, it disappears, that I get. which is, I can understand. Something goes in and pops out. You put something in, and you can get the Isser out. If there's no more Isser, then there's no more Isser.
We don't say that kind of thing.
Right, so sometimes we do. Like I said, by triangulating the milk, we say that. You can put in this thing, you can get the down that. That's not the case. That's you get the, if there be such a magic, we can imagine such a thing. I wouldn't have said it on my own. We the safe. Oh, I don't know where you get it from.
But we say, let's say a fat gets into something, cream or in that straight, and you could say, I could separate it out. We don't. I'm not
Okay, so I don't know. I could at least within range of potentially. I don't know. I wouldn't have said it on my own. Okay, but so we're going to sit with the Ramah. The Ramah said it's both the good and the time of God. Okay. So, okay, now what is it? Okay, so this is Kulaindri Kunpiti is not a Hebrew word, at least as far as I know. Okay, what?
It's not like common words like last time.
I went at the end. No. Okay, so here's David's guess as to what it is. Okay, the following, what you're about to hear is complete in conjecture, but a lot of it. Okay. The beginning part is less conjecture, but as we go on, you'll see. Okay, the first like this. Okay, what is it? So the first part is that in Rashi and Chumash, when it says that the mom was Kezerah Gad Lavan, so Kezerah Gad is like the Zerah Kulaindri, which is there's different ways to spell that word in French, and that means coriander. Okay, so Kulaindri, the Kulaindri part of it means it's coriander. Okay, and what's Kunpiti? Okay, what's Kunpiti? So I have no clue what Kunpiti is. Of course, how would I know what Kunpiti is? But so I did a computer search on my Bar-Lan. Say, what does the word Kunpiti mean? Okay, and I found out that listen to this. This Ogur is quoting a Marik. Okay, that's the Jews. He said the Marik said the following thing, and lo and behold, in Hilchos Brachos, the Marik says something else. Okay, listen what the Marik says in Hilchos Brachos. Advar hanovim shemavashna achi avu. They cook grapes until they get thick. The Karna Son Balaz Kunpiti, and now you call that thing Kunpiti to the Brach is Shahako. The Chena Hal Gudgonia Shakaran Surisi or Marine Kunpiti. Okay, you can also make the same thing from, I don't know, nowadays Gudgonia means cherries, I don't know if that's what it really means, but anyhow, so here's another fruit that you could cook, and you could also make Kunpiti, the Brach is Shahako. Okay, so I don't know what language that comes from.
There's something called confit, which they simmered for a long time. C-O-N-F-I-T.
C-O-N. That's an English word? Okay. So maybe that's on the same word as confiti. Maybe. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. So.
They boil it for a long time.
Okay, so if that's okay. So it's some kind. The Marik, the same person is saying that this thing is some kind of a jelly, and that actually has to do with the next sin. I told you that connected. Has to do with the next sin. So it's something with coriander that's a jelly, like they cook that, make some kind of a jelly out of it. Okay, so fine. Now, so what is that? Okay, so my one guess is that it's toku. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Okay, which is something made out of coriander. This is Indian food. Go figure. Made out of coriander. With vinegar, and it's not jelly in this. Like we think of it, it's like more like a mush. I don't know what you call it. Like I don't know, a condiment. Like something that you spread on other foods. It's sort of like that. Okay, I thought about that. The problem was that. This is we're in the conjecture part. If you haven't figured that out yet, that the problem is that in this thing the vinegar is part of it. You wouldn't think of the vinegar as being this time of common to this. So then I came to a different thought is that maybe it's some kind of a real jelly that either made from coriander. I don't think you can make jelly out of coriander. It's either with or flavored with coriander. That's such a thing as jelly flavored with coriander. So here I
coriander flavored jelly.
The jelly from a different fruit, but the coriander, the Kulaindri part of it is the flavor to it. So I wrote to Smuckers and I said, "Can you?" He asked me, "Why would somebody have a recipe that have vinegar in it? Why would you have vinegar and jelly? It doesn't seem to go together." Okay, so they said, "No, it's possible why you have vinegar and jelly is because nowadays we make jelly by adding pectin into the fruit, into the juice, and that solidifies it, but." They didn't used to have a thing called pectin. They didn't have powder that you poured in called pectin. So you get vinegar, and vinegar activates the pectin in fruit. It activates the pectin, and then the fruit gels up and can make into a jelly out of it. Okay, so if you don't really need it, you don't need it. And it's like tam of gum. You're trying to make a sweet jelly. Jelly doesn't have vinegar in it. It's awful. Vinegar is sour, as an acidic taste to it. So if you're putting it in, it's there to be functional, but it's nice tam of gum. Nobody wants vinegar in the jelly, but you're stuck with that. It's the only way to make the jelly to solidify it. That's not my question here. I'm beyond halacha at this point. We're totally in the dream world at this point. So maybe his Kulaindri Kunpiti is is that it has vinegar in it. The vinegar is the kulaindri is the spicing. I don't think you could judge from coriander itself, but it is coriander's flavored. What?
Coriander is sweet.
No, it's the coriander flavored jelly. Like the jelly's being made out of apple juice or something
I
else.
think it's probably not a sweet jelly. If it's coriander flavor.
Okay, but in either case, the vinegar doesn't fit. Well, now we can imagine that the vinegar here is a processing aid. Okay, in this thing, in tofu, vinegar is part of the recipe. In making jelly, the vinegar is not part of the recipe. The vinegar is just a processing aid. So that's reasonable to say someone's putting something in that's left left gone. Why do you make food with an ingredient that's left gone? So Smuckers is helping us understand that. You use vinegar, even if it's left gone, because it helps you gel your thing together. Okay, anyhow, so that was conjecture, but that's maybe what it means. Okay. You can like it, you're not going to like it. Okay, whatever you think.
Maybe it's related to the word compote.
I thought about that, but maybe it has something to do with that. I'm not sure that maybe his confit also will come together. Okay, now, the thing that you didn't, okay, I'll go back a few. I should have put on the next screen. Okay, you're going to have to we'll do some back and forth over here. We didn't read this thing. And that's like this. Chavav. Okay, it says, Dvash Sheishme'el, okay, I didn't have to put it. Dvash Sheishme'elun is usher, okay?
So wait, so you say you can take the jelly, which is grape jelly?
No, it's a fruit jelly. In his case, he's talking about the brachas of it. For our case, the base is not made out of fruit. It's not made out of grape, but it has chaimetz in it.
Kunpiti is not a problem.
No, I'm just using that for the word. That's what it means. This refers to honey. Okay, so dvash sheishme'elun is usher. Okay, so what is dvash sheishme'elun? Okay, honey from Arabs. What does that mean? So what it means, well, I'm pretty sure what it means is like this. The Arabs have this product called dibs. Okay, I have a recording. What? That's Americans. This is an Arab record. This is Arab. I spoke about it once when we spoke about grape juice and concentrate. It has to do with that thing also. Okay, and this product in Arabic that's what's called dibs. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it exactly right. I don't have the accent like they do. And in Turkish, it's called Pekmez. Okay, that's you're more likely to see it here under the name Pekmez. Okay, and it's made from grapes. It's grape jelly. Okay, it's a grape jelly or molasses. It's like a thickened jelly that you made of it. And the din. This din comes from Iran, a Jewish Iran, okay, a very famous famous. Okay, a Jewish Iran that Rabbi Schechter likes to speak about a lot. Okay, so to some people it's famous. Okay, so the Iran's like this. If the Eretz Hazois,
it's probably like a corruption like the Hebrew Davash.
Yeah, well, they're related to each other. You'll hear about that in a second. For Eretz Hazois, Regilim Hayishveim L'Kach Hasanav. Okay, they take grapes. Now the way that the Ran describes it is not the way that we do it. Okay, but they crush the grapes. Okay, they crush the grapes. That's what's going on. Now, what you're seeing in these pictures, this is from a person actually making Pekmez. Okay, this is from a video. I didn't want to put on the whole video. It's quite long. But this is from people. Okay, they crush the grapes. Okay, and out comes out the juice on the right. You see the hamshachah. The juice is coming out. Or maybe the hamshachah already in the bin over there, and the juice comes out. And then Mesim Aleim offer love on Yedua. Okay, you put on some special. So everybody knows this special dirt that you put on. That lady's putting in the dirt. She's putting in the dirt. It's a good question. Why? Okay, put it aside. She's putting in the dirt. Okay, and then you cook it. You cook it a lot until it becomes thick and it be like honey. And we call it dibs. Okay. Now the just
regular dirt.
I'm going to do this in a second. Just as an aside, in the Shach, it brings some of the words on the Ran, not all of them, but some of the words. So he brings these words, and in the Shach it says, Dvash. Okay, and that I'm guessing because the printer didn't know Arabic, he didn't have access to the internet like we do. So he said, no, it's just a typo. It shouldn't say Dvas, it should say Dvash. Like, he corrected the typo, but it's really not a typo. Okay, the Shach doesn't read straight. It says, V'nas came Dvash Rekurner say Dvash. I mean, it makes it like Dvash and they call it Dvash. It doesn't make any sense. V'nas came Dvash Rekurner say dibs. Anyhow, what's that? Right, but Google Translate says that it pronounces dibs, not Dvash. Okay, so that's right. So the guy who typesetting in Poland didn't know any of these things. You know what I mean?
Change it in the new ones.
I didn't look in the new one. But in my shulchan it says like this. Okay, so what's this offer lavan yedua? What is that stuff that they put in? So I'm sorry, I didn't put in the words here from the Ran. It says the reason they put in this offer lavan yedua is to make it sweeter. Okay, that's what it says in the Ran, that they put in this offer lavan yedua to make it sweeter. Okay.
Sugar.
It is not sugar. No, it's not sugar. No, sorry guys, it's not sugar. It's something called marl, okay, or marl stone, okay, and it's a kind of rock, sand, found a lot in Turkey, actually. That's why they make Pekmez there. Okay, it's made of calcium carbonate, which is chalk. And the point is, when you put this dirt when you put the calcium carbonate into the juice, it bonds with the tartaric acid that's in the juice, and they precipitate out as calcium tartrate. So it removes the tartaric acid out of the juice, which makes it sweeter. Takes the sourness out of the juice and leaves the juice being sweeter. Okay, and they still make it. This is a video of a lady thrown in the dirt, thrown in this marl. That's what she's doing. She was the one who looked the most Arabic in the video. Most other people look much more American. But anyhow, but she's throwing it off the love when you do it, which I believe, that's I think what it means. That means marl stone. They didn't say what she's throwing in there. But she's just throwing dirt into the thing. And I think that's what it means. And it takes out the tartaric acid and makes it sweeter. Okay. So you might think it's disgusting. But, and actually it said that they let it sit for a while, which is exactly what the Ran said. Mom was like, these guys are making it just like the Ran did. I mean,
just like their hobbies there.
Might be any different than what they add in the factory.
Yes, you should. At a time, like first, I thought maybe the awful loving do was like a preservative, like sodium metabisulfite, like potassium metabisulfite that we put in. That didn't seem right. Okay, this is what I think it's a moral. Okay, anyhow. Okay, so it says this stuff is usher. So it's obvious that it's usher. It's grape juice. It's grape jelly, right? The guy in the previous picture was stamping the grape juice. It should be obvious that it should be usher. Okay, so when you look at this first, you're like, okay, you didn't have to tell me this. Why do you have to tell me that you now eat dibs? Isn't that obvious? The Dvash Yishurim isn't obvious that it's mutter. So, as obvious that it's usher. Okay, so the truth is that the Tshuvas Iran, for almost the entire Tshuva, thinks that it's mutter. Okay, almost the entire Tshuva is that it should be mutter. I'm going to tell you his two reasons. In the end, at the very last minute, he takes it back and he says, no, it's usher, and you shouldn't do it. But almost the whole Tshuva, he thinks that it's mutter. And the first is like this. He has two reasons why it should be mutter. The first is that it's focused on the fact that it's Dvash Shel Yishma'elim. It comes from Yishma'elim. And since it comes from Yishma'elim, we know from earlier that wine touched by a Yishma'eli, a Muslim, who are not Ogdi Avodah Zarah, is only Asa B'Achil and not Asa B'Hana. Okay? So we know that these are being made by people who are not, the worst that this wine will be is Asa B'Achila. He says, well, if you have wine which is Asa B'Achila, then it's a concern of chasnas. It has nothing to do with Avodah Zarah. If the problem is chasnas, he says there's no chashash of chasnas when you're eating dibs, when you're taking like a jelly and spreading it on your bread or eating it with your hands. That's not chasnas over there. Chasnas is only when it's in a wine form. This stuff has no chashash of chasnas because it's like I don't know if the word is molasses or jelly, the same thing.
Yeah,
So the Ran says, he says, guys, I know you're going to answer this question, but it was also beforehand. Before they turned it into dibs, it was us already, yeah? So he says like this, he says, no, Issurim of Chazal that has to do with chasnas or these kind of things are only usher as long as there's a chashash of chasnas. If there's no chashash of chasnas, if there's no problem of chasnas, the issur falls off. It's an issur as long as there's a chashash of chasnas. He says, I have a raya. He says, look at the beginning of Kuf Gimel, Kuf Yudal. He didn't say Kuf Yudal, but look at the beginning of Kuf Yudal. We have the din about drinking shecher with goyim, and there it says, in some places it's mutter, in some places it's usher. That shecher is not usher. It's only usher in some places. Here it's usher. You walk outside, it becomes mutter. He says it's a raya. That's only chashash when there's a chashash chasnas, then it's usher. When no chashash chasnas, then it's mutter.
So then any grape jelly should be made by Arab Shia.
Well, that was a jelly.
Besides for this calcium,
well, all you do it's just a cycle.
Make jelly.
Right, well, they couldn't make this is how they made jelly. This is the jelly they made. Well, they didn't pack this. This is the jelly they made. Or they made like the Kulaindri Kunpiti. They made like that. But basically, that's basically what he's saying is, this first side is saying is, there's nothing, stop. No, not all grape jelly. Only Arab grape jelly. Yeah, there's a Kashrus. The way they make jelly would be mutter because the Isser Bishlakim, I'm sorry, not Bishlakim, the Isser of Stam Yayin, or all Bishlakim, the truth, but any of these kind of Issurim only have a Chashash Chas as well as a Chashash. If there's no Chashash, then it becomes mutter. Okay, the second reason is very similar, and that is, when the person crushed these grapes, they had in mind to make this dibs out of it. That was their plan from the beginning, to make this dibs out of it, and therefore, there's no problem with chasnas either. Okay. Now, when I first read that, Okay, so take it back. In the Shiloh, the way the Shiloh talks about it, the implication is the reason why I think it should be mutter is because it never became usher at all. The guy had in mind to make dibs, so the whole Chash of Chassid didn't even start because he knew that that's where he was headed to. Okay, but that's not what the Ran says. The Ran says, he says, wait a second, but what about the fact that it was usher earlier? He says, okay, same answer, big deal. It was only usher because of Chassid. There's no Chassid anymore, so there's no Isser anymore. So the two answers are almost the same thing. The only difference is, in the first answer, he's saying, any time there's an Isser to do Chassidus, if the Chash falls off, then it's mutter. And the second one is saying it has to do with the Kavan at the beginning. If from the very beginning was baked in that there will be a time when there won't be Chassidus, then when it comes to that point, the Isser comes off. Okay. So the Ran, for most of the Tshuva, the Shiloh is actually very long, because the Shiloh brings up all these points. Okay. There's two Shiloh. There's a Shiloh who asks a question to somebody, and that person is saying to the Ran, and this is what I responded to the person. So all of that is coming to the Ran as a Shiloh with a Tshuva to it, coming together, and the Ran is answering his own answer to it. Okay, so the Ran says, he says, this Shiloh that you're making, this idea that you're saying that we should be makel, is connected to two other dinim, two other cases why we should also be makel. And one is, do you have to kasher kalim if they made bishul akim those kalim? Okay, it's at the end of Kufid Gimel. Do you have to kasher kalim from the same Ran? Do you have to kasher kalim after you made bishul akim in them? And the Ran says, so he says this, there's no chash chasnas. Well, you think because the bliya comes in a bishul akim into my potatoes, because of that I'm going to feel close to the guy who cooked the potatoes way back the first time? He says, so you wouldn't have to kasher kalim. You wouldn't have to kasher kalim because again, there is an isser bishul akim, but there's no chasnas anymore. The bliya is not going to cause chasnas. I wouldn't have to kasher kalim. And there's other cases a case that you're probably also familiar with, which is, what happens if you have a chayla on Shabbos who needs to eat cooked food? So then a yid can't cook because it's Issa D'Oraisa to cook for the chayla, if he's chayla she'em b'sakana. But Issa D'Rabbanan a bishul akim is okay, or a mir lakim and bishul akim together is mutter. So the guy's allowed to cook him food on Shabbos. So the Shabbos is a healthy person allowed to eat from that food on Shabbos or after Shabbos is allowed to eat from that food. So the Ran says there's no chasnas. He says because there it's obvious this wasn't done to make us feel close to each other. This was done for the chayla. So there's no chasnas over there either. He says so it's mutter also. He says it's also mutter. A healthy person can eat that food. Okay, so he connects these three things together. Okay, the dvash yishmelim, the kashering after bishlakim, and eating from a chayla. And he almost the entire tshuva, he's ready to be mekel. He's ready to be mekel. But in the end, he says, no, some other Rishonim don't agree with these ideas. Okay, by the case of kashering after bishlakim, he says there are others who don't agree with this, and therefore you should be machmir. And then it turns very dramatically, and he says, "The pirates get you shchen and nachash." And he's like, "Whoa!" Like all of a sudden, he went from the whole this one of being mutter to in the last three lines being usher. And he says, "And you should not be make like that, like those say like that." And therefore, our shachar brings the final psak, which is Tavar Sheshman is usher. Okay, which to us at first glance it seems pashut. And again, for the Ran, it was not pashut at all. There are steers between these three dinim. Because Shulchan Aruch and Hilchos Shabbos says you can't eat from the food, and in kashering it's a shiloh whether you have to kasher. Okay, so that's a shiloh about the series, but that's what's going on here in the shiloh.
Where's the picture of the dibs?
Of the finished dibs, so it didn't come out to get the video. I could have given it to you, but it's I don't want to say jelly. Jelly has a thicker consistency. In the video, the jelly is a
Big gel.
It's a gel, it's like what we call molasses rather than what we call jelly. It didn't gel. Pekmez, yeah. Okay, the last thing is, I don't think I have more than 5 minutes. I'm going to go back to the beginning because we didn't read the Ramah of this part, okay? The Ramah says like this, Mi sheshasa yain nesach b'shogig. If a person ate yain nesach b'shogig, most of the Achronim understand that the word yain nesach here means stam yain. He ate it b'shogig. Yesh omer sheisana hei pamim. There are those who say you should fast 5 times. Neged hey pam gefen shebechumash vis kapelit. It should be because it says the word gefen 5 times in chumash. I meant to put the psukim for you. I'm sorry, but there's a little oddity over here. Okay, because the 5 times it says gefen are in Beverages and Bamidbar, but it also says gefen 2 times in Devarim. Okay, so somehow when he says it 5 times, he said the word gefen in chumash. That has to do with the first 4 svarim of chumash, not the last day from chumash. Why we don't give it the first 4 svarim, not the 5th, I don't know. Well, why would we give that it says gefen? I don't know why they either. But somehow, so this is all beyond our pay scale. This is, we have to ask Mukubal about what all this stuff means, so we don't care. But anyhow, so it's a somehow because it says 5 times in certain chumashim it says the word gefen. That's the kapara for doing this thing. And in case you were curious, the Daki Tshuva brings from, I forgot who, that if you drink it on Pekmez, then you have to fast 73 times. Okay? And that's the Gematria, 73 times. That's the Gematria Yayin, which is 70, and there are 3 letters in the word Yayin, so it's another 3 times. Okay, so it's Stam Yayin. Yes, if you Stam Yayin on purpose, you have to fast 73 times. Okay, so why here we count the letters, we don't count them, because this is all beyond us. Okay, or if I knew, I wouldn't tell you. Okay, anyhow. So why am I... Why is she just telling you this piece of information? I'm not sure. So the Rama says this thing you have to fast if you ate it b'shagi. Fine. So this Rama is the focus of many people who are talking about on the Sivas. Okay, the Sivas that many people know who says is that if a person does an aver d'rabbanan b'shagi, he doesn't need a kapara. So everybody says, really? Look at the Ramah. The guy did an aver b'shagi, an aver d'rabbanan b'shagi, he ate stam yayin, and it says he needs to fast 5 times if he wants to get a kapara. Okay, so look, what? So the Ramah uses the word yayin netzach. If you remember, he used that word 2 halachas ago. Also, I said to you, most of that word on the thing means stam yayin, not yayin netzach. Okay, there's some Achronim want to answer. They say, no, he said especially Yayin Nesach, just like the Achiyez said before. He said especially Yayin Nesach because he didn't mean that. It would be really odd if you would say that, because who has Yayin Nesach? I mean, why would he tell you this amount of nothing, doesn't mean anything? But most people don't say that he means Stam Yayin. Okay, but there are those who think that way. We try to get it like that. Okay, so you see here, the Nesiva says the only time you have to do kapara in the very b'shagi is for a deraisa, because you did the wrong thing. Let's say you ate, I don't know, a piece of chazer b'shagi, so the chazer is bad for you. You did the wrong thing, or you didn't have error, so you have kapara. When you're doing Issa D'Rabbanan, then the kapara is for rebelling against Chazal. You didn't rebel against him, but you did it b'shagi, so you don't need a kapara. And they point at this Ramah, and they say that you see from the Ramah that even if it's b'shagi, a person needs a kapara.
It's not the Issurim, so that's not good. It seems like...
No, that's not what it means. No. Issurim is because it's something that's not in the Gemara. It's from I forgot who it comes from.
This obviously isn't a general call for every D'Rabbanan, because it has to do with death.
So that's a valid point. But so the most accepted answer to justify what the Nesiva says is it's a special chumrah for Stam Yayin. Other Issurim D'Rabbanan you might not need a kapara. It's a special chumrah for Stam Yayin that Stam Yayin might need it. There's all kinds of serious repercussions and how horrible it is to eat Stam Yayin. And therefore, the most reputable, the most stable, the best answer given that I'm aware of, given to answer the Nesivas, is that it's special for Stam Yayin. Now, Rabbi Yitzchak Kochanan brings another answer, who says that maybe it's only for foods that are Isuri Hana. Okay, as you can imagine, it's sort of what Levi said. Look at it, we're talking about Dvar Shir, which is not Rasa Bano. That's like the thing he put it onto. Nowadays, Rama holds almost all Stam Yayin is not Rasa Bano, and it seems that one of the sources for this din is an Arizal who says it about Ishmael. Anyhow, and Rabbi Yitzchak does not agree with this. And if you want to know more about this Nesivas, okay, Rabbi Vadia has a tshuva about it, a real long tshuva, and of course I don't know anything, but he sure seems like he knows everybody who ever spoke about it. He has a lot of people. Rabbi Vadia himself comes to the conclusion not like the Nesivas. He does not think it's the following, and he shows how most Achronim did not agree with it. There's a Mishnah Berurah about it also, go figure, Sharatzian, who says also not like the Nesivas. He doesn't say the Nesivas, he just says you need a kapara. So to him it's obvious that you need a kapara. And one last part is, Rabbi Vadia says, even according to the Nesivas, if I know that you're about to do an Issa D'Rabbanan, then I have to stop you. I mean, you don't say if I know you're about to do this D'Rabbanan, you're going to not need a kapara anyhow, so I should just let you do that. He says, even according to the Nesivas, I can be to stop you. And that point came up 2 times. Okay, one time was many years ago. There's a Rav Machshir who decided he would never be mafresh. He didn't need to be mafresh challah because he said chalas chutzarts is a drabanan. Because chalas chutzarts is a drabanan, so when you eat the bread, you won't know that you're doing the wrong thing. So what do I care? So you won't need a kapara. Big deal. Chalas chutzarts is a drabanan. I don't have to mafresh challah. Okay, now that's pretty wild. But so now there was actually a better justification for why he wouldn't have been mafresh challah. But that was. We were told that he was not mafresh challah ever. He had no rules of mafresh challah.
You can say you don't do any Isuri D'Rabbanan.
Hashgacha. I'd have to insist on right. I guess he could.
Hashgacha, you have to.
See, if you should have told him, he could have expanded his hashgacha. He could have done. I mean, no, actually, so one thing, right? I didn't think of that. But anyhow, so that was one thing. Which again, we're saying here, even according to the Nesivis, you have to tell the person. And the other one, more recently, was when the CRC came across this very large Jewish-owned company that sells bourbon and other beverages like that, and they don't sell their chametz. It's owned by Yid, doesn't sell their chametz. So we got a complaint from a consumer who said you guys know that it's us, or you shouldn't drink it. Why'd you tell us? He said, you shouldn't have told us. The Nesiva says you're only the kapara. You should have been quiet. Don't tell any of us what's going on. And we would have happily kept on drinking our 1792, 1492, 1792, and Pappy Van Winkle, we would have been happily drinking away. And why'd you have to tell us? So this was a consumer called them and complained about that. Those silly rabbis who got him into trouble. So the simple answer was that we don't pass them to Nesivas. Many people don't pass them to Nesivas. But even if we did pass them like the Nesivas, we said to them, listen, you have to tell you anyhow. Sorry about that. And if that helps you, Shlomo Zalman mentions the same thing.